Hey guys, it's your bud, ABT Pro, and it's very early in the morning. I've been up very late, and I got on some new headphones that I don't use or haven't used before, but I think I broke my other ones. You know how I always break my headphones. So I'm using these. I use them for my camera, which I don't really use it for. But with it being African History Month, I went to a couple of events and I was able to test out my cameras on it. So I used the Canon the first night, and then the second night I used the NX5U. And the problem with that, the second night I made a snap decision to go because I wasn't planning on going. I wasn't planning on going to the first one because I was waiting for a call for my client. Client did call, so I got some work going down, and that's coming up soon, but it wasn't right at that time. So I was able to go, and so I went down there. The first night was free, but I donate some money. I meant to donate some money, but I wound up getting a ticket for the following night because that night was free. So I wound up going the next night and showing the camera. Now, some people think I repeated myself, and I did not. What I did was I layered in more information and passes. It's not repeating because it's not the same as the first time I said it. So anyway, anyhow, that's not what this is about. But I just wanted to let you know that I was still here. A lot of things, a lot of things going on. And so I'm trying to get to it, but I seem to get distractions and stuff. And some of it is healthy distractions. Some of it is not so happy distractions, but I learn about it. And some of it, I can't judge whether it's good or bad. So, but it's life. And so the beat goes on. So I want to talk about something. I want to talk about the economy, and I want to say something specifically towards about wages and things like that, and Obama, and in general, President Obama, and what I say about it. And so I think everybody understands, and we've all repeated a number of times, and time again, that it is important for us not to send jobs overseas. Like, we need to make new jobs here, and we've got away from manufacturing, but we have to remember that why that happened. Okay, so there was a release on regulation, and I believe President Obama is doing away with some regulations and changing some things now. But let me talk about something. Okay, my thoughts have come back to me. Let me talk about something about economics, and not specifically President Obama, so I scratch that. But more so, if you recall, there was a lot of talk about, and this is Black History Month, so it relates to this. This was a lot of talk about the 40 acres and the mule. There's a lot of talk about reparations and about African Americans that never got any kind of reparations for slavery. So usually when the United States or America or the unions or whatever we were back then, usually when we I think it was United States, because the South decided to succeed from the Union. So, but any war that we would have, and basically that was sort of, you could call it a war. It was a civil war. It tore us apart, and blacks were in slavery. But you can't. I consider a war against those blacks and against those Africans. But it was never. Whenever we have war, we always have Reconstruction. So even after the war, with the Civil War, the Reconstruction went towards rebuilding all the damage and money given from the winner to build, because America and the United States was smart like that, right? You don't destitute them, you don't make them your enemy, completely ostracize them. You say, okay, we won. Okay, done. Now let's move forward together. That's what America's attitude, or for what I understand, their attitude towards countries. And so they did it in Japan. They did it in Germany or any other place that they warred against or had war with. You know, they basically, okay, all right, you retreat, you're totally, you know, you're defeated, you surrendered, whatever. Okay, done. Now let's start the fighting. Let's start to rebuild, and let's do it together. So now you're on my side. We become an alliance and stuff like that. And really, you have no choice because you have no defenses or whatever, roadways or buildings left. So this is in your best interest anyhow. So that's what they did in Japan or other places abroad when they warred with them. Let's say Japan, Nagasaki, or when they warred with them, they gave them money, and they also enabled them. They enabled them with jobs, with work, with commerce. They allowed them to rebuild. So and during the Civil War, the South, the Confederate States, got money, not the slaves. Okay? They were released and allowed to, go where they want. They had different situations, some fair, some not fair. Basically, a lot didn't change for a long time. But there was never an effort where there was like, okay, all right, this tore our country apart. So it was obviously wrong, and it tore our country apart. But economically, it tore our country apart. The South got so powerful that they no longer felt that they need, and after the upper states knew the moral implications, and then they were getting so powerful they weren't paying attention. They had more money, and they decided to do what the heck they want, and that wasn't what the Union was about. But that was between, the two brothers, North and South, okay? The other brother, the black brother, he was just basically caught in the middle, and nothing was really done about it. There was no, okay, yeah, you've been enslaved for 400 years. Okay, now we're going to repair and set you up in business like we did in Japan, or we did abroad, or we did with every other war. So just before the elections, there was a lot of talk about reparation. Okay, we never got our 40 acres and we was a big debate. And so how do we stop that? How do we just deal with this talk? What do we do about it? Well, we ain't got no money. When somebody says, okay, it's time for you to pay me back something you owe me, and you say, well, I'm broke, So all of a sudden, when a black president is about to come into office, an African American who is truly African and American comes into power, comes into power, and there's a real opportunity for this to happen. That there might be some supplication or some kind of compensation or whatever, reparation that might actually happen, or it was on the discussion table. Gone, completely gone. And to a degree, a lot of blacks have been satisfied, because even though we didn't make one move, we did make another move that just showed progress. Okay, it showed a level of growth as far as African Americans. And so now we have a president that's a wonderful black president. We have a wonderful, outstanding opportunity. America has moved forward on its promise about a truly civil society. Okay, from slave to presidency, or whatever, however you want to say it. But there was no talk about that. And so I want to relate this because, so here's the problem. A lot of the American jobs that went over, reparation jobs. Now, if we had that, okay, like during the Civil War, instead of Reconstruction of only the Southern brothers, if we actually had some Reconstruction or reparation to African Americans or the Africans or slaves at that time, then we would have had a lot of those businesses, like, okay, make radios, you know, make automobiles. That business was supposed to go to African Americans. Okay, not money, not 40 acres and a mule or something like that. You know, if you could train guys that don't even talk English across seas, then you could teach these half-talking African American slaves that knows the society. So we got the shim sham on that end, you know? So, I mean, just to build business. So we've actually had to build business from the ground up by ourselves, no help whatsoever. You know, I mean, there wasn't any reparation that went anywhere. There was and so forget reparation. Just if those jobs and those businesses got, just those African Americans had gotten business, it would have been enough to say, okay, you know, the whole of the society of African Americans at that time would have been better, and then we would have kept the money on our land, in America. We would have built business in America, and America today would be a more powerful place and society, and instead of those jobs being shipped off. Now, I'm saying that because those jobs that were supposed to be shipped off were just manufacturing jobs. So they made the paint, the lead paint, and all this stuff, and the toys, and the transistor radios, and stuff like that. Okay, stereotype. They say that Asians have small fingers, and it's good. Now, I have nothing against Asians, but I'm gonna tell you, I had a Japanese girlfriend, and her fingers bent backwards, and they were tiny. So whatever. Okay, they got the radio part, but there was other jobs that could have been kept on American soil, that could have been established among the African Americans who died and fought for this country during the Civil War to keep the country together, to make a better country that had loyalism and wouldn't have gone in nowhere. And I'm going to tell you, if you took a census poll for most African Americans, they don't want to leave America. America is America. It's our country. It's our land. We helped build it and everything. Right? Okay. Not particularly me, though. I haven't really built anything. I don't like hard labor anymore. You know, I mean, a long time ago, I laid concrete, but not those son. Those were real black people, you know. I'm sort of black sometimes, you know. But anyway, I'm joking. But my point is that these were jobs that America would be a healthier place if we had cultivated the African American laborer at the time as a part of reparation, to have certain businesses instead of shipping over the seas. And the reason why I've just reiterated that, because now we've gotten, with all those regulations and NATO and all of this other stuff, when we start shipping steel itself, the materials itself, the materials it takes to build the cars, we at least used to do that. Well, they sent that overseas, and I think they had China or somewhere building those things. Nothing against China. My man who helps me, and we've done the best year ever, he's from China, and matter of fact, his birthday is just today. Love him, love his whole family. A lot of good things. Okay, so the thing about it is, though, they unfairly sent, they got tax breaks to send that stuff over. And so here's the real gripe. So then they said, okay, in our current present situation, then we say, okay, you've got to become President Obama, you got to out-innovate and everything like that. And that's true. You got to do that. You got to remain competitive. We know what we did wrong. They know what we did wrong. With Bush administration, he took all the stops, all the regulations off of fair trade among Americans, and somebody got paid to send those jobs overseas. And probably Clinton had something to do with it too, because she liked foreign affairs and all that stuff. Him and her, So all the jobs go over the seas and stuff like that. Everybody, all the American business. Now we got to compete overseas in order to create business. But this is what's happening, and this is my concern. So you have these high technology jobs, and I'll try to stop in 20 minutes. 5 minutes. You have these high technology jobs, the ones that we say, okay, go back to school, learn these jobs, since we have no manufacturing. Learn computer technology, and in my case, in which it has worked, learn, when I was in a cushy job at Philip Morris, in Manhattan, New York, had a beautiful office, my name on the door in metal. I think I took it with me. But, I had my office, the pinnacle of best I had done as leaving Buffalo on welfare, went there and just went up and up and up. Stopped drinking and stopped smoking and got myself together. And I want to say this, these artists who think that they could walk a mile in my shoes, they wondering why they didn't make it, and because they didn't make the sacrifices. If you still smoke and drink, that has a lot to do with why you didn't do what you were supposed to do. And take it hard. I'm not going to praise you for failing. Sorry. Sympathy party down the hall. But anyway, my point is that even in my case, where I left a good job, did some things, learn some technologies and stuff like that. They're sending computer graphic high technology jobs over to India. Now I understand they're competitive because they all learn math, they've been doing programming and stuff like that. So they're sending all those technology. George Lucas, they're getting on Apple, but George Lucas sent all his computer graphic technology, my kind of jobs that I spent years studying, the high technology. So America was supposed to be this high technology place, and then all the other jobs, they're supposed to do labor. So the cars and the toys and the TVs and stuff. So they're supposed to do labor, but the high technology jobs for computer graphics and software and stuff like that is supposed to be here. They didn't keep that promise. So they're sending the high technology jobs. George Lucas is sending a lot of the animation, and they call it just grunt work, just manufacturing. They call it just assembly line work, but not when it's high technology computer graphic jobs. So then what is left? What is left if they're going to send those jobs? Okay, that's a problem. So we obviously know that we got to stop exporting our jobs, and we got to be able to sell in the market. Everybody knows that now. One other thing I want to say, and so it's a two-edged sword here. I'm being fair. Cuts going out, cuts coming back in. Two-edged sword here, okay? Or at least the truth is. Or the truth is, I know it about this, which I don't know a lot about. But let me say this. So, but then the labor jobs that we do have here, I want to say, I really want to say it harshly, but I'm going to say it nicely because I only got 2 minutes left. But when you got sanitation workers, garbage men, making $30, $35 an hour, some of them make more than that, they're picking up the garbage. Or people that are just doing very common, unskilled labor jobs. I understand about inflation. I understand about unions and stuff like that. But still, they are still garbage jobs. And then you got people that when $10 an hour, when you got a high technology job for $10 an hour. A few years ago, I was working for that money, and I was happy about it. I made ends meet, but still, there's something wrong. when an unskilled worker makes more than, let's say, a skilled salesman or something. Now, I understand incentive and stuff like that, but a computer tech guy, it's out of balance. It's out of balance. So, I mean, it's out of balance on the top. It's out of balance on the bottom. It's completely out of balance. So, I mean, when you're just raking grass, and see, that's why a lot of these, it's so out of scale that America is like, well, I'm not going to work for $10 an hour. And depending on where you are, that's good money, Buffalo, So that's 20 minutes. So I wanted to bring that up. And I'm still going to follow my Black history because of dealing with reparation and stuff like that. There was no manufacturer. So blacks, the industry that we are mainly in is entertainment. And what is that? Still this old song and dance, football, basketball, everything like that. Entertainment. Football is entertainment. It had the biggest Super Bowl. Didn't even watch it. I'm not even sure. I don't even know who was playing. It's not relevant to me. How many auto manufacturers do we have?